The land explored by our ancestors extends from Altai to the White Sea. The scientific expedition Trails of Nomads continues to unveil the path of our forefathers. A group of scientists, led by pilgrim of the 21st century Sapar Iskak, has already visited more than 50 countries. Scientists reveal the exciting secrets of the past. Watch an amazing story of a great journey in the Trails of Nomads program. What do we know about the rulers from the dynasties of Eldiguzid and Jalayirid? Why are the graves of the Bahadurs, our famous ancestors, abandoned now? In honor of whom were 3 mausoleums built in Maraghen? Brave as lions, Qazaq warriors were feared all over the world. Many were horrified by the sound of their horses' hooves. The tracks of the horses remained forever in the halting sights of thousands of troops, reviving the spirit of the ancestors who inhabited the immense Great Steppe and ruled states in different parts of the earth. Members of the scientific expedition went to the territory of ancient Persia, to Iran. The first stop is the sacred historical land of Tabriz. This city was the capital of the Eldiguzid state, founded by the Kipchaks in the 12th century. The Eldiguzid dynasty, which ruled here from 1137 to 1225, is also known as the Great Atabeks. The Eldigizids reigned for approximately 90 years until the arrival of Jalal ad-Din Khwarazm Shah. In the 14th century, Tabriz became the center of the Jalayirid Sultanate. During the Mongol period, the Qonirats and Naimans came to Iran along with the Jalayir. Although the representatives of the Qonirats did not reach the heights of power, they still managed to become the emirs of the city. Tabriz was the first capital of the Jalayirid state. Later, the Iraqi city of Baghdad became the center. The Jalayirid state included the present territories of Iran, Iraq, Azerbaijan, Karabakh, and Armenia.
Tabriz қаласы біздің бабаларымыздың көп уақыт орталық астанасы болды.
Tabriz for a long time was one of the central headquarters of our ancestors. The son of the Eldigizids, Pahlavan, conquered the city of Tabriz and gave it to his younger brother Qizil Arslan. Previously, the Aksunkar dynasty, or Aksunkars, ruled here.
Оны өзінің інісі Қызыл Арсланға билікке береді.
A prominent poet of classical Persian poetry, Nizami Ganjavi, dedicated his second poem, Khosrow and Shirin, to Qizil Arslan, who in 1191, with the consent of the Caliph al-Nasir Lid-Din of Baghdad, received the status of Sultan. At that time, the life in Tabriz improved significantly. The city enjoyed an economic recovery. It was a heyday. But the Eldiguzid dynasty ruled the state until 1225. Qizil Arslan was replaced by 2 sons of Pahlavan, Abu Bakr and later Ozbek. Now approximately 1,700,000 people reside in this city. Azerbaijanis, Persians, Kurds, and representatives of other nationalities live here. Residents speak Azerbaijani and Persian. It is the 4th largest city in Iran. We have just visited the Azerbaijan Museum in Tabriz. As I noticed, the museum features 3 eras dedicated to our ancestors. The first is the era of the Eldigizids. Our ancestors came here from Dasht-i-Kipchak. Later, our other ancestors from the Jalayir tribe arrived. They appointed their rulers, Ilkhans. Then the Hulagu dynasty. Together with them, the tribes of Naimans and Qonirats came here. Qonirats rose to the level of emirs. Jalayirs reached the level of the Ilkhans. They ruled the empire. Tabriz is attractive. The historic city is full of secrets and mysteries. It seems to have existed forever. Days, nights, months, years smoothly passed into centuries. People changed, and rulers, epochs replaced each other. In 1336-1425, Jalayirs ruled this region. They did not lead an idle lifestyle, but purposefully built a civilized state. This is evidenced by the many artifacts stored in the National Museum in Tehran, the capital of modern Iran. To have a look at the valuable exhibits, the participants of the scientific expedition Trails of Nomads went to the archaeological and historical museums. The Iranian National Museum staff members welcomed the famous Qazaq traveler Sapar Iskakov and showed him all the exhibits related to the era of the Eldiguzids and Jalayirids. Scientists learned a lot of new information. We study the history of the origin of ancient Iranian dynasties, the Jalayirid dynasty, with special diligence. The opening of this national museum has become a great help in our work. For example, the Azerbaijan Museum keeps a lot of coins that were minted during the period of the Jalayirid Sultanate. They trigger great interest among many scientists and visitors. Every tourist who comes to the Iranian museum is sure to admire these valuable exhibits that make a great impression. When great rulers from Dashti Kipchak reigned in Iran, Tabriz was a powerful center for the development of economy, education, and culture. There were many prominent scientists, talented poets, writers, and artists, skilled artisans, jewelers, as well as just rulers and famous Bahadurs. The expertise of various craft schools has been preserved in Tabriz. Now this industry is very developed here. Fine craftsmanship can be found throughout the city. Today, this ancient civilization is the historical pride of Iran. This great legacy is an example to follow. The museum staff is proud to exhibit ancient coins. You can look at them for a long time. They were minted by our proud ancestors who perfectly mastered the technology of gold and silver processing. All these exhibits are proof of this.
Бұл музей мұражай өте бай екен.
This museum is very rich in coins. All our ancestors at one time minted coins. Tenge was poured from various metals, copper, silver, and gold. At that time, the descendants of the Eldiguzid's also issued coins. A lot was minted during the Jalayirid period.
Яғында ақша шығарды. Өте көп шығарған жалайырлардың уақытында.
This place has been enjoying a vivid life since ancient times. The historical museum located in the center of Tabriz keeps a lot of information about the era of our ancestors. Almost every ancient exhibit decorated with gold and silver belongs to the Dashti Kipchak period. Crystal-encrusted walls reflect the epoch of the Eldeguzids and Jalayirids and keep the secrets of ancient Iran.
Үшінші дәуір ол біздің.
The third era is associated with our ancestors who came here in antiquity. This covers the 6th, 7th, and 8th centuries. This is evidenced by these large stones, balbals, gravestones in the courtyard of the museum. Look at them. One can imagine various periods of history. This is from the 1st to the 10th centuries.
Бірінші ғасырдан 10-шы ғасырға шейін.
This ancient legacy will never lose its value. There are historians who, looking at these monuments, are able to reveal a lot. The members of the scientific expedition found the burial of our ancestors who once ruled this land. After 7, perhaps 800 years, the participants of the expedition Trails of Nomads first set foot on this fertile land. This event can be considered as historical.
There
is a large burial 6 kilometers away from Tabriz. 2 of our ancestors are buried here.
Сол қорымның ішінде біздің 2 бабамыз жатыр.
There is a mausoleum of Shadbad Mashaykh 6 kilometers from Tabriz. Here, next to the remains of the historical person, the second Ilkham of Jalayirid, Uwais Jalayir, was buried. This statesman ruled from 1356 to 1375. In the burial ground, scientists also found the grave of the founder of the Jalayirid state, Hassan Buzurg Tajuddin.
Мұнда үлкен жалайырлардың бірінші Ilkham болған.
The first Ilkhan of the Jalayirid, Hassan Buzurg, is buried here. His first son, Uwais Jalayir, who succeeded him as a Jalayirid ruler, was also buried here. Hassan also had other sons. They are buried in different places near Tabriz.
Олар әр жерде жерленген Тебриздің жанында олар Хасан, Хусейн, Ахмад.
Every blade of grass and every grain of sand of the Tabriz steppe, which are silent witnesses of history, seem to be trying to reveal all the secrets of the past to the expedition members. Even the stones, which kept centuries-old letters blurred by the winds and burned out by the rays of the sun, also seem to be trying to speak, and the horizon seems to recognize the descendants of the ancient ruler. Some unknown force seems to be calling to itself and saying, "Study me, explore, and awaken the sleeping spirit." All the gravestones, the mausoleum, are destroyed. Only the tombstones remained. The stone on which the names and other information were carved also did not survive. It is very sad and insulting that the graves and monuments of such outstanding personalities, great rulers, were left unattended and unprotected. Their current state is deplorable. Of course, it is possible that they are not particularly significant and important for the Persian people, but we, the descendants of the great ancestors who once ruled this land, cannot but care about the restoration of burials. For about 90 years, our ancestors ruled in the lands of Iran, Azerbaijan, and in the Arab lands. Therefore, undoubtedly, there should be monuments and mausoleums on their graves. These places should become tourist attractions, and first of all, for tourists from Kazakhstan. Therefore, I think that such places located abroad are of historical value for our people, and therefore, they should be included in the list of sacred places. Traveling through Tabriz, full of mysteries, the participants of the scientific expedition Trails of Nomads witnessed another wonderful discovery. This is a Triumphal Arch located right in the center of the city. Right in the center of Tabriz, there is a large arch made of bricks. It is now called the Triumphal Arch. Perhaps it was built in honor of some great victory. The time of its construction is the 14th century. The 14th century is just the heyday of the Jalayirid state. Similar triumphal arches, a kind of victory symbols, are found in different parts of the world. History shows that such structures appeared as a sign of honor and respect after any significant victories. For example, the Arc de Triomphe in Paris was built in honor of Napoleon's great victories. The Mongolic Triumphal Arch in the capital of Kazakhstan, Nur-Sultan, was erected in honor of the 20th anniversary of the country's independence. There is no exact information about the history of the appearance of the Triumphal Arch in Tabriz. According to local historians, this place was originally supposed to be a mosque. However, for various reasons, its construction was suspended. Later, the project was changed and construction work resumed. The building began to play the role of a fortress at the entrance to the city.
Біздің білетіміз ол арка, ол кәдімгі қаланың ішіндегі.
As far as we know, this arch served as a fortress gate inside the city, or a citadel. This is a defensive fortification inside the fortress. In my opinion, the arch was built during the period of the Jalayirid state. The Triumphal Arch is another monument of the Jalayirid state. It is a kind of golden bridge connecting the past and the present, symbolizing spiritual harmony and the continuity of generations. Looking at this historical building, many questions arise that still have to be answered. The ancient monument requires detailed scientific research. Further, the scientific expedition team continued their research in another Iranian city, Maraghen. The Maraghen Observatory is located in its southwestern part. The building is one of the oldest in Iran. The observatory is located at a height of 110 meters. From here, one can see panoramic views of Maraghen. The facility, built 700 years ago, is included in Iran's National Heritage List. There is an assumption that the construction of the observatory was largely influenced by people from Dashti Kipchak. This version cannot be ignored. Now let's dwell on the history of the construction of the mausoleums erected in the medieval city 8 centuries ago. It is said that these two mausoleums glorifying Maraghen were left by the Kipchaks. They appeared during the heyday of the Eldiguzid state. According to local scientists, the first mausoleum was built in 1168. 30 years later, the second mausoleum was constructed. There is another object in the city reminiscent of the Dashti Kipchak period. This is the Mausoleum of Emir Shams ad-Din Karasun-Kar, a prominent representative of the Kipchak Mamluks who was the Emir of Maraghen until 1328. To honor the famous Emir, a mosque and madrasa were built also in Cairo. There is a street and a village named after Kipchak ruler near Maraghen. This person reigned until his last day in 1328. After his death, a large mausoleum was built in his honor. Its height is more than 20 meters. The tent is now under restoration. These are architectural monuments left by our ancestors. Trails of Nomads research team studied just a small excerpt from the history of ancestors, immigrants from the great Dashti Kipchak who ruled and developed the state in Iranian land. Scientists learned about the secrets of making and minting mysterious coins, tenge, in the Museum of Tabriz, and also visited and worshipped the spirits of their ancestors in ancient burials. They visited the symbol of Jalayirid's victories, the Triumphal Arch and the mausoleums in Maraghen. This is only a small part of the rich heritage of our ancestors, so the expedition continues its work.